Imagine that you are on a boat, lost at sea. There's no sign of land, and you feel like you're just drifting. But then, you adjust the helm, just by 1 degree. That adjustment seems insignificant at the moment, but as the days go by, you realize you are heading toward a completely different destination. That's what we're going to talk about today, the transformative power of small changes. Now, take a moment and reflect. How many times have you waited for a grand transformation to change your life? Maybe you thought, I'll only be happy when I find a perfect job, make more money, or achieve that big goal. But what if I told you that the secret to changing your life doesn't lie in a giant leap, but in something so small that, most of the time, it goes unnoticed? This is the power of improving just 1% every day. It's not about an explosive change that happens overnight. It's about accumulating daily wins. It's about choosing to make progress, even if it's just a little, every single day. I want you to imagine a sheet of paper. If you fold it in half once, it doesn't seem much smaller. But if you keep folding it over and over, the thickness of that paper will quickly multiply until it reaches unimaginable heights. That's exponential growth. Texto padrone, it's exactly what happens when you choose to improve by just 1% every day. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey. We're going to explore how small, consistent actions can lead to extraordinary results. We'll challenge the idea that big changes require big efforts and discover how you can transform your life in a simple, practical, and powerful way. Before we move forward, I want you to think about one thing. What's one area of your life that you like to improve? It could be your health, your finances, your relationships, or even your mindset. Hold on to that thought because it's going to be our starting point. By the end of this speech, you won't just feel inspired to take action, you'll also have practical tools to start improving by 1% every day. Because here's the truth. It doesn't matter where you are today. What matters is the direction you're heading toward. Are you ready to adjust the helm? Now, imagine an empty jar with a small drip of water falling into it. At first, it seems insignificant. The drops are so small that you might think, this will never fill the jar. But keep watching. Drop after drop, with no interruptions, the jar fills up. It's slow, almost imperceptible, but inevitable. This is the essence of improving 1% every day. Progress may seem small, almost imperceptible, but over time, it accumulates in such a powerful way that it can completely transform your life. Think about someone who wants to run a marathon. On the first day, maybe they can't even run 500 meters without feeling exhausted. But instead of giving up, they commit to improving just a little bit each day. On the second day, they run 510 meters. By the next week, they're running 600 meters. A month later, they're reaching the kilometers. And in less than a year, they're crossing the finish line of a full marathon. Now, let me share a metaphor. Imagine you're pushing a giant stone uphill. At first, it seems impossible. The stone is heavy, and every step demands tremendous effort. But as you keep going, you notice something curious. The ground starts to level out. The stone feels lighter, and eventually, you reach the top of the hill. At that point, gravity becomes your ally, and the stone begins to roll forward on its own. That's the power of accumulated effort. In your life, small actions work the same way. Maybe today, you feel like you're pushing that giant stone, but by improving 1% every day, you create momentum that will eventually make progress feel natural. I want you to choose a specific area of your life and ask yourself, what's the smallest action I can take today to improve? It doesn't need to be something grand. It can be as simple as drinking an extra glass of water for your health, reading one page of a book for your learning, or saving a few coins for your finances. But if improving 1% every day is so powerful, why do so many people ignore this idea? Why do we insist on waiting for radical changes when small steps could take us further? If I told you there's a simple formula to transform any area of your life and all you need is to improve just a little bit each day, would you believe me? The truth is, many of us wouldn't, and the reason is simple. We're conditioned to seek immediate results. We live in a world that values the now. Want a meal? Delivery in minutes. Want to watch something? Instant streaming. This culture has made us forget how real progress works. It's invisible at first, but incredibly powerful in the long run. Think of a seed. When you plant it, you see nothing for the first few days, maybe even for the first few weeks. But beneath the soil, something is happening. Roots are forming, absorbing nutrients, strengthening. All that invisible effort is what allows the sprout to finally break through the soil. It's the same with our lives. How many times have you tried to change something, learn a new skill, build a habit, or achieve a goal and given up because you didn't see quick results? Maybe you thought, it's not working. But the truth is, progress was there all along, quietly growing, like the roots of that seed. Let me tell you a story. The Chinese bamboo is a fascinating plant. When you planted seeds, you need to water them and care for the soil every single day. During the first year, nothing happens. In the second year, still nothing. In the third and fourth years, you keep watering, but the soil seems unchanged. Then, in the fifth year, something incredible happens. In just 6 weeks, the bamboo grows over 30 meters tall. What was happening during all those years of apparent inactivity? The roots were growing deep, creating the foundation needed to sustain that rapid and impressive growth. Without that invisible work, such a spectacular result would never have been possible. Now, think about this. Where in your life have you been watering the soil, but haven't seen results yet? Maybe it's in your career, your studies, or a dream you've been pursuing. If you feel like progress is slow or non-existent, perhaps what's happening is just like the bamboo. Roots are forming, preparing the ground for something much greater. What makes people give up is the difficulty of seeing progress in the short term. But when you understand that every small step, every seemingly insignificant effort is part of something bigger, everything changes. And this is where the secret begins to reveal itself. Small, consistent actions are not just small. They have a power far beyond what we imagine. Because when we talk about consistent progress, something incredible happens. Cumulative power. This is what turns small improvements into major achievements. Have you ever heard of the concept of compound interest? It's one of the most powerful ideas in the world of finance. Essentially, instead of earning interest only on the initial amount invested, you also earn interest on the accumulated interest. This effect creates exponential growth. Now, think about this applied to your life. Improving 1% every day might seem small, but it's like applying compound interest to everything you do. Over time, the impact is massive. To better understand this, let's imagine the following scenario. If you improve by 1% every single day for a year, the accumulated result isn't just 365%. No, because of the compound effect, you will be 37 times better than when you started. Think about that, 37 times better. And it all began with a small decision to improve just a little bit every day. Let me share a story that illustrates this. Imagine someone who decides to learn how to play the guitar. On the first day, they can barely hold the instrument properly. Their fingers hurt, the notes sound off, and every song seems impossible. But instead of giving up, they commit to practicing for 10 minutes every day. Not an hour, not 30 minutes, just 10 minutes. In the first month, progress is almost imperceptible. In the second month, they're already able to play a few notes without making so many mistakes. By the end of the year, this same person is playing full songs, something that seemed impossible at the beginning. What changed? It wasn't a giant leap. It was the power of accumulated daily effort. Imagine a small snowball at the top of a mountain. At first, it's so tiny you could hold it in the palm of your hand. But as you push it downhill, it starts to grow. Each rotation adds more snow, and soon, what began as a small snowball turns into a powerful avalanche. Improving 1% a day is like creating that snowball. At first, it feels like almost nothing is changing. But as time passes, the accumulated improvements gain momentum, and the results begin to multiply. This formula for exponential growth doesn't just apply to big goals. It can be used in any area of your life. Want to improve your health? Start with a small habit, like drinking more water or walking for 5 minutes a day. Want to learn a new skill? Dedicate 15 minutes daily. Want to improve your finances? Save a small amount every month. The secret lies in starting small and being consistent. Now, ask yourself, where can you apply this idea today? What's one thing, no matter how small, that you can improve by just 1%? That decision, as simple as it may seem, could be the beginning of something extraordinary. But how do you turn this idea into something you can actually do every single day? This is where the power of habits comes in. If there's one key to transforming the idea of improving 1% a day into something real and tangible, it's creating habits. Habits are the structure that sustains our lives. They're like tracks. Once the train is on them, it follows the path with much less effort. But how can you create habits that help you improve consistently? It starts with something essential, starting small. Imagine a line of dominoes. The first domino is tiny, easy to topple, but as each domino falls, it has the power to knock down larger and heavier ones. That's exactly how habits work. The first step might seem insignificant, like reading one page of a book or waking up 5 minutes earlier, but it triggers a chain reaction that transforms your life. Many people make the mistake of starting with something overly ambitious. Want to start exercising? Instead of committing to an hour at the gym, commit to just 5 minutes. It might seem too small, but consistency is what truly matters. One of the most effective tricks for creating new habits is to associate them with something you already do. For example, if you want to start meditating, decide to do it right after brushing your teeth. That way, brushing your teeth becomes the trigger for your new habit. The brain loves rewards. Every time you complete your habit, celebrate, even in a simple way. It could be something like saying, "Good job," or marking your progress in an app or journal. Let me share an inspiring example. A young man wanted to improve his fitness, but struggled to commit to long workouts. He decided to start with just 1 push-up a day. Sounds insignificant, right? But that's how he began. Over time, he increased it to 2, then 5, and eventually built a full workout routine. Today, he's physically strong not because he started with something big, but because he chose to be consistent with something small. There's a popular idea called "don't break the chain." Here's how it works. Every day you complete your habit, mark an X on a calendar. The goal is to maintain a streak. When you see that chain of X marks growing, it becomes a powerful motivator to keep going. By creating habits of continuous improvement, you eliminate the need to rely on motivation. Because let's be honest, motivation is volatile. Some days, you'll have it in abundance. Other days, you'll barely be able to get out of bed. But when you build habits, progress stops being a tough choice and becomes something automatic. Still, the journey of improving 1% every day won't be perfect. Obstacles will arise, and sometimes the biggest barrier will be the fear of not doing everything the right way. The journey of improving 1% every day may seem simple in theory, but in practice, it's not uncommon to face challenges along the way. Whether it's a lack of time, a loss of motivation, or even that old enemy called perfectionism, these challenges will test your ability to persist. And here's the truth, you're going to fail. Not every day, but eventually, there will be days when you won't meet your goal. And do you know what that means? Nothing. Because progress isn't about never failing, it's about never giving up. Many times, we freeze because we want to do things perfectly. How often have you said, "If I can't do it right, I won't even start"? This kind of thinking kills progress. Improving 1% every day doesn't demand perfection. It demands action. Think of a staircase. You don't need to leap to the top. You just need to climb one step at a time. If you stumble on a step, what matters is that you keep climbing. Imagine you're learning to shoot an arrow. At first, your aim is terrible. The arrow barely reaches the target. But instead of giving up, you keep practicing. Each attempt brings an adjustment. Your posture improves, your accuracy increases, and eventually, you hit the bullseye. Progress only happens because you had the courage to fail. If you fail one day, don't let it become 2 days. The power of progress lies in getting back on track as quickly as possible. On tough days, do the bare minimum. If your goal is to walk for 30 minutes, but you're exhausted, walk for 5. The important thing is to keep the habit alive. There will be days when you're motivated and others when you can barely get moving. That's normal. Consistency doesn't mean doing everything the same way every time. It means continuing to move forward, even if slowly. Let me tell you a true story about resilience. A few years ago, a runner named Derek Redmond competed in the Olympics. During a race, he tore a tendon midron. Instead of quitting, Derek got up and limped to the finish line, supported by his father. He didn't win a medal, but he showed the world the meaning of perseverance. This story teaches us that progress isn't linear, and that's okay. What matters is getting up, even when things are hard, and continuing to move toward your goal. Now, I want you to think of something. What's the biggest obstacle you faced recently? Was it a lack of time, energy, or motivation? Whatever it was, remember that the obstacle is never the end. It's just part of the journey. And when you commit to improving 1% every day, the size of the challenge doesn't matter. What matters is the size of your determination to keep going. Continuous improvement is a commitment to yourself. It's not about achieving something great in a single day, but about becoming someone better over time. Progress is cumulative, like compound interest. Small daily actions, even if they seem insignificant, create profound changes. Consistent habits are the foundation to sustain continuous improvement. Obstacles aren't enemies, they're opportunities for learning and growth. Imagine where you could be a year from now if you started improving by just 1% each day. This journey won't be perfect, but it will be meaningful. Because at the end of the day, what matters isn't the speed of your progress, it's the direction you're heading in. Today, I want you to make a simple decision. Choose one area, any area of your life, and take the first step. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be 1% better than yesterday. And remember, when you improve a little every day, you're not just changing your life, you're building a version of yourself that one day you'll be proud to call your best self. Today, you have a choice. You can stay as you are, living on autopilot, or you can decide to change the course of your life. Not with grand revolutions, but with small, consistent, and powerful actions that start right now. Stand up and decide. What will you do today to be 1% better? Choose something, anything, and do it. Read a page. Take a step. Change one small decision. Because every step you take today isn't just about the present. It's about the extraordinary future you're building. Don't wait for perfect motivation, the ideal moment, or the right opportunity. Everything you need is already in your hands. Start now. Improve by 1% today. Because when you look back a year from now, you'll realize that it was this small decision, this moment that changed everything. What will you choose? The comfort zone or your best self? Your journey begins here. And it begins with a single step. Make it count.